Launch Masterclass Lesson 2. Who is pumped? I am so excited. It is such a gift to my life that I get to show up and do this. I absolutely love this stuff. So thank you for joining me. If you were with me yesterday for Lesson 1, tell me what you thought of that. Put it in the comments and let me know. We are going to have a rock and roll session right here. This is, yesterday I said it's 8 days to get you launched. Now we're down to 7 days to get you launched, and all the amazingness that's on the other side of launching your online business or growing the business you already had. So just a little bit of orientation here. So first of all, we're live. We are live. We're streaming it to Zoom. Because we've got so many people, we're streaming it to many different Zoom rooms. I'm going to be watching your comments. I'm going to be feeding off the energy from you in the comments. I'm going to be cycling through the different rooms. I'll have, when I get back to the main set, I'll be able to see 2 rooms, but we'll be cycling through those rooms. So I'll be seeing your comments. But if you see me answering comments that aren't in your Zoom room, that's why. So let's see. Please turn off your distractions. We're going to dive in deep and figure out which type of launch is for you. Which type of launch is going to take you to the next level. There's 3 primary types of launches. I'm going to be going through them, teaching you each of them and how they interrelate. We're going to move fast. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be super cool. Please turn off all your distractions. You know, you don't really need to be getting news alerts for this time together. This is going to change people's lives. And you might be one of those people. So I guarantee you, many someone who are watching this training will literally have their life changed by being able to go have the new capability, the tools, the capability, the confidence, the community to go launch their online business or to grow the business they already had. Now I'll be teaching for over an hour here. We're going to be going deep. Over an hour, and then after that I'll be doing questions and answers. I'll be showing examples. We'll probably end up going 2.5, 3 hours. Yesterday we went a little over 3 hours. It was a marathon session, but again, I think people, I can't see the comments right now, but I'm betting the people there got a little bit of value in that time. So turn off your distractions, close the door, and get ready to dive in deep. We are going to have what we call a super secret segment. So first of all, we will have a replay for you. And if someone asks if we're going to have a replay, that will be asked in the comments probably about 200 or 300 times here. Just answer, yes, there will be a replay. However, the replay will not include the super secret segment. It's just like one little extra teaching segment I've got for you. Typically, it comes just like in those Marvel movies. You know how they have that little extra special scene after the credits roll? Well, that'd be the place I would look. If I were you, I'd be looking for the super secret segment after the credits roll. And so anyway, the reason I do that is because I know the people that show up live are the ones that are the most engaged, and they're the ones that tend to get the best results. Now, I also know we're fighting time zones. There are people watching this in South Africa. There are people watching this in Australia, New Zealand, and in Europe. And so it could be very, very late for you. It could be very early. It could be the middle of the night. So I want to honor that, and that's why we make the replays available. But if you can hang in with me, the super secret segment's going to be pretty cool. And the reason I do that is because when you are engaged here with me live, I know those are the folks, I've been doing this for years, those are the folks that get more results. They get the bigger, better, faster results. Let me look at my notes. Just be cool. If you're here to spam your link down into the comments and keep on putting a link to your stuff in the comments, it's not cool for the ecosystem. Our team's going to ask you not to do that. And I think, Dan, do I have anything else to tell them about?
I think we're ready to get rolling.
Oh, I remember one more thing. I cannot confirm nor deny, but I think there's a possibility that we might have a special visitor here in the secret headquarters with us, a special 4-legged kind of visitor with a sleek, black, shiny coat. I cannot confirm or deny, but that special visitor just might be making a guest appearance at some point. Okay, that's it. It's time to roll. Let's go. It's been 25 years since I started my online business. It had the most humble beginnings you could imagine. I started from a homemade desk in my basement. That was in 1996, when online business was barely a thing. My friends and family wondered if I was chasing a silly dream. But I had a vision, even way back then. I had a vision for an online business that I could run from anywhere. An online business that could reach the world. When I first started out, there was no one to learn from. So I went way back, as far as 70 years back, to study old school marketing legends. My success came ever so slowly, but the results kept growing. I had to invent a new way of marketing, a new way of launching. Then, in the early 2000s, people started to notice my results, and the calls started to come in. They wanted to learn from me. They wanted my formula. In 2005, I published the very first edition of my launch formula. And it sounds crazy to say, but that one training, constantly updated, has become the stuff of legend. It changed online business forever. And now, all these years later, people still wonder if they can have an online business, or if it's just a silly dream. They wonder if it's too late, or there's too much competition. But this is what I know. There's never been a better time to start and grow an online business. Because the last couple of years has made online business the new normal. And online education is literally becoming a mandate. You see, this story really isn't about me. It's about my students and what they've done. Because they've had over $1 billion in launches. This is the story of how, with hard work and the right formula, they changed the trajectory of their lives. They've built businesses and created amazing lifestyles. And whether they're teaching people to meditate or play tennis, whether they're helping people with their health or their relationships, they've changed the lives of their clients. So they're the real heroes. And now, with this Launch Masterclass, it's time to welcome a new class of heroes. So welcome. Welcome to the Launch Masterclass. Buckle your seatbelt because it's time to launch. All right, we are going to get rolling. We are here to get you launched, to either launch a new business for you, a new online business, or grow the business you've already got. We got a lot of ground to cover yesterday. We went deep yesterday. So we're focusing on the 3 primary types of launches. Now, I teach more than 3, but these are sort of the 3 big ones. These are the 3 core ones. And frankly, that's all the time I've got to, I only have time to cover those 3 here. But there are 3 really important ones, and I want to help you find where you are in these 3 launches, in what we call the seed launch, or the internal launch, and the JV launch. They all fit different scenarios, and they are, for where you are in your journey, one or the other will fit better for you. I've used all 3 many, many times. They all have their special charms. They all have their strengths, and they all have requirements. So we're going to be diving in. Now, if you missed yesterday, this is what yesterday looked a little bit like. If you just joined, if this is the first class you're coming to, then you're going to want to, after this is over, you're going to go back to the recording of lesson 1. This is a bit what it looked like. I taught the sideways sales letter, which is the way that it's the modern way to sell. If you're looking at someone who's an influencer, an expert, an authority, someone who has built a really nice business online, they've probably done a launch following my formula, because I've been teaching this forever, and all the top people in all the markets have either come through my training at some time, or they've come through someone's who came through my training. So super, 30 seconds, I'm going to boil it down. It's 3 pieces of content that follow what we call the problem solution path, where you're walking people through a series of problems that they might have, that they want to quit smoking, or they want a meditation practice, or they want to play squash better, or they want to officiate weddings. You thin slice the potential obstacles they have, and you define those problems, then you solve them all the way through your content, and it tells you, basically you're telling the story of your prospects' future success. So here in the direct marketing world, the people that haven't bought from you yet are called prospects. So you have someone coming into your world, and it's like, and you're painting a picture of what their life is going to be like after they get into your work, after they buy your coaching, your training, your workshop, your membership site, what their future life is going to look like. And you're taking them on this story arc, this path through these pieces of content. And there's a whole formula around this, and that's what I spent lesson 1 going into. I'm not going to repeat it, but this is, it's the gold standard. It's the way you create real value in the world. It's the way you sell without being slimy. It's the way you sell if you're not a natural-born salesperson. If you are great at sales, fantastic. It's good to be you. But I know myself and many of the people in my tribe that we're uncomfortable with selling, right? We were uncomfortable with selling. This is how you sell in a super effective way, but feel great about it. You feel great about the service you're giving out to the world, both in your free content and in your paid content. So that's the super, super quick review here. Now, boy, oh boy, we covered a lot of ground yesterday. Check out the replay. Even if you were there, check out the replay. And the way it works is this page you're watching on is called our concierge page. This is like the home page for this entire launch masterclass. And we're constantly adding more and more resources for you on this page. When we go live, like we are right now, then this page gets taken over by the live broadcast. After the live broadcast, it reverts back to its standard form, and it's got the case studies, it's got the PDF downloads. In fact, Dan, I think we've got, there's a download, there's a worksheet people can download for this lesson, correct?
Yeah, we've got a worksheet for each of the lessons. It'll be on the concierge page. I don't think it's right there now because we're live, but as soon as we go off the air, you can download that action guide.
And can't we have like the team put it in the chat right now?
Instant upgrade. I'm sure we can make that happen.
Yeah, I think so. So I've got some fine print here. I have some fine print. I've got, there's a whole big team behind me that's making me look good. Anytime something looks good or seems cool, that's the team's work. Anytime you see something screw up, like yesterday where I misspelled one of my main words, that's me screwing up. So I've got Dan over here. Dan is my producer, executive director and producer. I've got some team here in the secret headquarters helping me out. We've got a total of 40 people on the team. It's absolutely crazy considering where I started from. It was just absolutely ridiculous. So fine print, I've got a lot of team in the background helping me out. Everything I teach here, there's no get rich quick. There is work involved. You have to do work to change your life, right? That's just the way it is. And I'm going to teach and teach and teach and teach. And we have after-hour sessions, we've got the PDFs, we've got more case studies than you could ever imagine. And at some point here, I'm actually going to open up registration for our new cohort for the Product Launch Formula Coaching Program. So I will make an offer to you. So I consider this the second best training in online marketing, the second best training in how to launch an online business. The best is my paid program. I'll tell you about that in not today, but it's coming up. Okay, crazy. Yesterday, if you were here with us, we had 1,641 comments. I'm watching your comments. I'm watching 2 of the Zoom streams right here. I'm watching your comments. I see Elizabeth answering joint venture. I see Carmen. I see Maria. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
I'm gonna actually jump in real quick. I think you got the wrong number written down. We had 7,900 comments. We had almost 8,000 comments.
Where did I get 1,641 from?
We'll figure that out. Get back to you.
How many 7,900?
That was like 7,900.
7,900 comments. We have over 40,000 people that have joined, that have opted in, that put their email address in to register for this thing. Yesterday, this was at 38,000, now we're up to 40,000. We've got lots and lots of Zoom rooms going because you can only put 1,000 people in a Zoom room. So we've got this special technology that just keeps on adding more and more Zoom rooms. Okay, so 3 types of launches, boom. First, we're going to start with the seed launch. So the seed launch is an amazing launch. I'm just going to give you the criteria, sort of the criteria and where they fit, and then we'll dive into them. So seed launch is if you're just starting out and you don't have an offer, you don't have a product, you don't have anything to sell, the seed launch is absolutely amazing, awesome. It's the place to start. If you're like, I don't have a list, I don't have a product, what do I do? Seed launch. Seed launch. Sometimes people try to skip the seed launch because it seems so simple. Don't do that. Okay, the second use case for the seed launch is if you already have a business and you've already got an offer, but in the back of your mind, you've thought about this, another offer, a second offer, an additional product, additional membership, additional anything, but you haven't been able to get around to actually creating it. The seed launch is amazing for that because it will force you to create it. The internal launch, if you have an existing product, if you have an existing list, an existing audience, an existing following, this will be for you. If you have something that's just coming up, great. Lots of times people are like, I already launched. My product's 3 years old. How can I do it? Absolutely. You know, yesterday I was talking about Apple and how Apple launches things. And really what we're doing here is we're taking the firepower that Apple does with their launches, or the movie industry does with their launches, or the gaming industry does, where they lead into their launches with a bunch of pre-launch content. That's what we're talking about here. But this is how you can do it without the huge budget of Apple or of Hollywood. So in any case, Apple, you know, a couple months ago, they released their iPhone 14. So they're 14 phones in, and they're still launching. So can you launch if you've already got your product on the market? It's already been released? Absolutely, and we'll talk about that a little bit. The third one is the JV launch. So this is where I need you to help me in the comments. JV stands for joint venture. Joint venture. So now when someone comes up and says, what's a JV? What does JV launch? What does JV mean? Type it in the comments. Joint venture. And what joint venture is, it's basically where you collaborate with another business owner and you work together. Another way to think about this is as an affiliate launch, where a joint venture partner sends traffic into your launch or an affiliate partner sends traffic into your launch. So like I said, we're going to dive into all of these, and yeah, I think that's it. So are we ready? Dan, are we ready?
Oh, we're ready.
Okay, let's roll with the seed launch. So what if you could start with no list and no product? So you're starting from scratch, and you can actually get paid to create your product. Get paid to create your product before it's even a thing. And oh, by the way, when you follow this process, you're going to create the absolute best product you could possibly create. And people are going to love you for it. And you're going to generate success stories and case studies that you can use further on down the road. And you're going to create a product that you're going to be able to sell for years. Would that sound pretty amazing to you? We're talking about the seed launch. I've been teaching the seed launch for years, and these are the kind of results we've seen. In fact, when I first started teaching about product launches, so history lesson, short history lesson, in 1996, I started my first business. Back then, I was teaching people about the stock market. I was publishing newsletters about the stock market. I did that for 8 years. And then in 2005, I decided to start teaching about business building, about doing product launches. I did a seed launch for my product launch formula coaching program. That was the first way I ever delivered it. Now again, you look around at what we're doing here, I've had over 1 million people go through this launch masterclass with me. I've had tens of thousands of people go through my product launch formula coaching program. They've gotten $1 billion of results. But it all started with a seed launch. That first seed launch that back all those years ago, and I only had 6 people join me in that seed launch. I convinced 6 people to buy from me. And that was the seed that built this entire business, this entire empire. So the seed launch is extraordinary because it's the simplest launch. Generally, there's only one piece of pre-launch content. You start off and you build up that seed list, a very, very small list, but you build that up, you do your launch, and then you'll deliver your product over time to those people that buy from you. And every step of the way, instead of you having to go into a mad laboratory and figure out, what am I going to teach? How am I going to deliver this product? Every step of the way, you're consulting with your new clients and you're figuring out what they need. And in essence, you're just answering their questions. So if you have enough skill to be able to take a topic and split it into 5 different areas, and then ask people what they need to know about those areas, and then get on a webinar or a live broadcast and answer those questions, then you have the minimum skill level you need to do a seed launch. And I've seen this over and over. People get paid to create the product, they create a great product, and that creates an amazing business for them. But again, I would like to show you a real world example. So let's go to it.
Hey, so my name is Michael Walker, and I teach musicians how to grow their fan base and tour successfully when there's not a global pandemic happening. But right now I teach them how to grow their fan base online. And one of my biggest challenges when I was starting out was that I was disconnected from the people that I was trying to serve, in the sense that I thought that I understood their issues, but we had gotten to a point with our band where we had built an audience. We had about 24 million streams on Spotify, and I had forgotten what it was like to be at the beginning and to be struggling just to get your first 1,000 true fans. And so when I launched my first course, I made literally 0 sales, and I didn't know how to speak to where they were at and how to really serve them best. And for me, the seed launch was really a way to have a conversation and get in tune with those people, because in a sense, it was like both of what we were saying were making sense, right? Like, so it's like I was playing the C chord and they're playing F sharp. So alone, like they make sense, but then when you put them together, it's like it's not good. And so, I think for me, the seed launch was really a way to get on those conversations with people and just listen and really hear what their biggest challenges were, what they needed help with, what they wanted, so that I could start to play in tune with them. And that's how I went from making 0 and really being $36,000 in debt with my business starting out to making our first $100,000 that year, and within 2 years growing to a 7-figure business. Was that initial pivotal point of actually listening and getting in tune with our audience. And, for me, what it looked like doing the seed launch was I had learned a bunch of stuff with my band, and I basically just peeled back and shared the number one thing that we had ever learned in our career, which was essentially the thing that took us from the beginning, where we were living in our vans and sleeping in Walmart parking lots, to selling 24,000 CDs in about 4 months and touring with one of our favorite bands. And so I basically took that one strategy that I knew had made the biggest impact for my own life, and I shared that using a PLF style launch that I did live. And it was like, so you might be looking at this right now and be like, oh yeah, he has a professional setup, but it was not that way at the beginning. It was really bad. And I'm still running the exact same, like we have the replay and we're still running it, and that's still our main engine of growth. So it just goes to show that the quality is not the most important thing. And so, I did that live launch, and then it really just turned into, I didn't have a course for sale on that training. It was really just me trying to provide as much value as possible. And the call to action at the end of it was to have a conversation with me personally and to submit an application. And so from there, we would have a private one-on-one session where I had an opportunity to listen to them and ask them questions like, what are your biggest challenges and frustrations right now? What are your biggest goals for the next year? What's holding you back? And really listen and like get in tune with them, so that over time we were able to create a really powerful program that I think is the best thing that's available right now on the market, because I really was able to listen and stay in tune with those people. And now it's like, our biggest issue early on was just that as it grew, it wasn't scalable because I was doing all the one-on-one sessions, and it started to get overwhelming, which is a good problem to have, like to be too in demand, but it's still a problem. And so that's when I started to hire out a team of coaches, and I trained them up. And now we have a team of 17 coaches who are doing these initial strategy sessions for us, and they're doing a lot of the fulfillment. And I just get on, a couple of sessions for each client at the biggest leverage points where I can make the most impact. And so that was, how I kind of started from scratch with the seed launch. Hugely valuable, got in tune, listened, and was able to create somewhat of a symphony of music based on actually being able to listen to the market.
Okay, so with the seed launch, a lot of this seems almost magical when I'm going to share this with you. I assure you it is not magical, and again, it does require work. I'm going to walk through how you do this exact process. One thing I want you to remember, and Michael said it over several times, that he said he was creating that symphony. He talked about that C and the F sharp, and you don't want to be playing those together. The way you win in business. So I've never said this before, Dan, but this is like a tweetable. The way you win in business is by getting results for your clients. If you don't get results for your clients, then you have no long-term future in your business. You're going to be churning through, always looking for new prospects. You're not going to have the word of mouth. People aren't going to be saying great things about you. The seed launch allows you to create your first product or a new product, but make it great right from the start. Now, you don't obsess about the product being perfect, but obsess about it being great. And when you follow this process, you'll end up with a great product. And I'm about to tell you why. But Michael just underlined that over and over. And that's how he went from being a touring musician, a successful touring musician, but he had a baby on the way and was $36,000 in debt and needed to start something and never really had any kind of a job or any kind of training or any type of capabilities outside being a musician. But he was able to take what he knew as a musician, which is how he became a successful touring musician, and he was able to turn that into a great training. What he said is what he thinks is the best in the world training for other musicians because of the interactive nature of the seed launch. So I'm going to show you the process, but always keep that in the back of your head. This is how you know you're going to create a great product that's going to be the lever to create a great business, because you're going to have happy clients who are getting results. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is in a seed launch is you need to assemble what we call a seed list. This is the first beginnings of a list. Now, when I say a list, I'm talking about an email list, people that have joined your email list. And so you can do this via social, but well, I'm going to show you just exactly how it works in just a second. But I want you to get a list of 200 to 300 people. If it can be bigger, that's so much the better. But let's focus on 200 to 300 people. Everyone starts with no one. Everyone starts with their first subscriber and moves from there. Okay, and can we accept, this is one, I was thinking about this. Sometimes people are like, oh man, 200 people, I'll never be able to build a list of 200, or I'll never be able to build a list of 300. You heard Ann yesterday, Ann La Follette, started from nothing and built up to 12,000 in a very short period of time. But also think about it. When you're on social media, say you're on someone's Instagram page and they have like 47,000 followers or 128,000 or 2.2 million. So it is conceptually possible for people to gain followers, right? There is proof of that. So let's just say conceptually it's possible, even if you're just starting out, have never done anything, for you to start to build a list. So the way you build that list is you have what we call a squeeze page or an opt-in page. Sometimes it's called a lead page. You all know what this is. That's where you come to a page and there is some type of a lead magnet, something that you want to get, that they say, hey, we'll give you this thing, we'll give you this video series, we'll give you this cool PDF with the top tips, you know, you know, if you want to do a live cast, here's the 10 pieces of gear you need, put your email address in and I'll send you the report. So there is a lead magnet of some sort. It doesn't have to be a huge, big deal. So you have all seen this, right? Can we all agree that we've seen this type of page, a lead page, an opt-in page? Let me just go to the comments and see, can we just all agree? Because, yeah, we've all seen. In fact, the only way that you're on this broadcast is you went through my lead page, right? You get that? And what was the lead magnet for this, for on my page? The lead magnet was to attend this masterclass. You see how that works? So then what you do, you create this. And years ago, it was really, really hard. These days, there's so many tools. There's lead pages, ClickFunnels, Optimized Press, all kinds of things that will create these pages for you in a few minutes. It's so much easier than when I started. I mean, I spent days and days and days, because I was not a programmer, trying to program one of these pages. So what happens is then you send traffic to that page. So there's multiple ways you can send traffic. Now, if, say, you might be a one-on-one practitioner and you've already got clients of some sort, then this is really ideal for you. But so you can send current clients, you can send them an email and say, hey, I'm about to do this thing. If you want to know more about it, just click this link, and that link takes them to this page, which is your opt-in page. You can also do this via social. So whatever social following you have, whatever social following you can gather, and we all know how you do that, is you put out content. We call this, one way, fancy way we call this is earned traffic. You earn this traffic by putting out content in your socials. So you just start to gradually get a following there. And then at some point, when you've built up enough value for them, then you send them over to your opt-in. Hey, you know, go check this thing out. I've got this, you know, I just put together this PDF on the 10 things you absolutely need to do if you're going to live stream. Or the 10 considerations when you're buying your first guitar, or how to pick the right tennis racket, or the 7 tips to a great yoga pose, whatever. So you drive from social to here. You can also do paid traffic. So you just heard Michael Walker. When he started out, he had absolutely no following, no list whatsoever, and he I think he started spending about $3 a day on paid Facebook traffic, sending them into his lead magnet, which was this guide to tour hacking, which was his thing. So that's another way. A favorite for me is communities. And you're going to hear about that a little bit later on when we hear from Dylan Frost. But when I think of a community, it's either like a forum, or it's a Facebook group, or there's others, I'm sure, but those are the two that come to mind. There are still a lot of great forums out there. Don't just go in there and spam the forum. Don't just go in there and spam the group. Join the community, become a contributing member of the community, and then you eventually say, hey, I just put together this PDF. If you guys want to check it out, go here. Boom. Where's here? Here is your squeeze page. And then there's word of mouth. So this, in the seed launch, it's probably not going to be huge. It's more of a thing in the internal launch. But as you start, to the level that this is a pretty cool thing, you'll get people talking about it, right? So like, for instance, before we opened up registration for this masterclass, we released a report. Did any of you get that report? Let me know in the comments who got that report and what it was called. I've upgraded my system so I can actually see 2 of the Zoom rooms here. Let's see. One, I need my glasses, one I don't. There we go. The Transformational Value Manifesto. Transformational Value Manifesto. That, I think, is also on the concierge page. If you didn't get that, after this broadcast, when the concierge page comes back up, you can download the transformation. What do you guys think of that? This is the first time we've ever released that, and released it about, I don't know, 10 or 11, 12 days ago. And Joseph said it was great. Catherine loved it. Spectacular. Brenda, I love it. Love it. Patrick said it's quite good. Erica, amazing. That's great. This is the first feedback, and as a writer, I mean, really, first and foremost, I'm a writer. That's how I consider myself. And so I put that out in the world. It's, I think, 30-some pages long. And it's like, I wonder if people like this or not. And this is the first feedback. So
here's one great comment. Says, thought it made a lot of sense, and I wanted to hear more.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm seeing a lot of comments. You didn't get it. Listen to me. This is the concierge page. After the broadcast, refresh this page. It's going to be on this page, along with a lot of other cool stuff. Okay, so what happens when you send people in here? Some of them will elect to opt in, to join, to get the thing, right? And some of them won't. This is the real world. I'm going to give you a real world. This is not pie in the sky. You'll probably get anywhere from 30% to 60% of the people that visit that page will join your list. You know, when you start out, it's probably going to be closer to 30%. And then as you tweak it and you test it, you'll probably get better. 60% is like, I'm doing backflips if I can get 60%. I mean, I think there's been once or twice I've gotten 70%. But yeah, 60% I'm doing backflips. Anything over 50% I'm doing backflips. I think, I don't know, like for this master class, I don't know, I can't remember what the number was, but it was, I think, yeah, I don't even want to say. It was pretty high. I was very, very happy with it. So then they put their email here, right here. They put their email in, they click the button, and when they click the button, they get on your email list. Now, there's software to manage your email list. And so for those of you who are super experienced and some of this stuff feels a little basic, don't worry, we're getting to the, we're getting to the more advanced stuff, but we got to start here. And so they join your, like Aweber. What's that monkey one called?
There's a quotable. Survey one?
No.
MailChimp.
MailChimp. That's the
Chimp
monkey
one. Monkey one.
So, like, oh, someone just bust out laughing.
There's a lot of marketing tools named after monkeys.
There's
for
a lot
some
of. Okay, so there are, like Aweber, you can start and you get your first, I don't know how many subscribers for free. But there's a bazillion different ways to manage your email list. And so once they're on your email list, so the thing with the offer that you're going to make, so first, actually, let's back up. So once you get up here to 200 to 300 people, and you got to be a little patient to get there, but let's just make the math easier. And if you got a 50% opt-in rate to get to 300 people, how many people would you need to drive from here to here? I know I'm asking you to do math, but how many people would you need to drive into this page if your opt-in rate was 50% to get to 300 subscribers? I know we're going to have a few math whizzes here. 600, right? Is it conceivable that you can get 600 people to visit a page if you created something like, cool, with a cool title that people would like be interested in, like the Transformational Value Manifesto? Anyways, so you get to 300 people, you got those on your list, then you create your first piece of PLC. Who remembers from yesterday what PLC is? Who remembers what PLC is? We'll see who gets this one first. We'll see. Pre-launch content. Emma, you got it. You nailed it over here. Jenny got it over here. So this is pre-launch content. Now yesterday, I talked about the sideways sales letter, and you had 3 pieces of pre-launch content, 3 pieces of PLC, and that led into the open cart. That's what I drew for you yesterday, the sideways sales letter, right? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. With the seed launch, we drill that down into one piece of content. So yesterday, we used the example of having a course teaching people a 10-song guitar repertoire, right? A guitar repertoire where you could play 10 songs. So if someone comes over and sees your guitar and says, hey, play me something, you could actually, or you're sitting around the campfire and someone breaks out a guitar, you can actually play 10 songs. And that's lots of guitarists can't actually play songs. So if you had that, that's going to be your offer, and you want to do a seed launch, you didn't have that product done, what you would say in this pre-launch, in this one, it could be a video or it could be a live cast, it could be email, but it's probably going to be a video or a live cast or screen cap. And you would teach about, a lot of people, I know a lot of people own guitars, but they can noodle around, they can play some chords, they can play maybe a melody or two, but they haven't actually mastered playing some songs. And it's so frustrating when someone comes over to your house and they see your guitar and they say, hey, play me something. Or even if you want to take lessons, you've decided now's the time to move forward, you want to take lessons, the first thing the guitar teacher's going to say would be, play me something. Or you're sitting around a campfire and someone breaks out a guitar and someone says, hey, Fred, you play guitar, here's a guitar, and you can't play any songs. And so I think what every guitarist needs is a repertoire of 10 songs. That's all you need. And so this is what you need to think about. The first step is this, the second step is this, the third, first step is picking the right songs, the right easy songs where the chords follow the melody, it's easy to sing along. Then you need the chords, then you need the strumming patterns, then you need to put the singing and strumming together, and you need to do the whole entire thing. And this is, and so you're defining that problem, and you're starting to solve it, just like in the PS path. So this is one video, or one live cast. If it's a video, it's probably 10, 12, 15 minutes long. If it's live, it's probably a little longer because live stuff always takes a little longer. But it's that simple. At the end, you're like, hey, if this seems interesting to you, I'm thinking about putting together a class, a live class where I'm going to just take a small group of people and I'm going to work with them. And it's going to be super cool in a group setting. We're all going to work together. We're going to have a little community. We're going to support each other. But I'm going to show you how to build that guitar repertoire so you can play 10 songs all the way through with confidence, with no anxiety, and impress your friends and your family and potential girlfriends and boyfriends. And so if you're interested in that, be sure I'll have another video coming for you. Check that out. So that's your entire pre-launch. What I did was I took right there and speaking it. It was very rough. It was off, I just went fast there. But what I did was I compressed this whole path into one piece of pre-launch content. Does this make sense? Does this make sense? Let me know in the comments if you guys are following. Let me know. Okay. Lorianne, Polly, thank you. Chloe, I don't want to repeat it. I don't want to go through it again. It's all in the recording. But basically, you're taking your PS path, your entire sideways sales letter, and you're compressing it into one piece of pre-launch content that then teases what's coming up next. And what's coming up next is the offer. Who remembers what OC stands for? Who remembers what OC stands for? And Kelly, yep, you're right. It's all still free of charge at this point. Okay, Margot, Belinda, you got it. Claire, you got it. Absolutely. Meredy, I'm sorry about that. It's funny. I need glasses for one. I don't need glasses for the other. So then that leads into the open cart. Again, we're still following the basic path here where we have pre-launch content, pre-launch that leads to the open cart. Open cart, the cart part refers to your shopping cart. This is where you open the shopping cart and start taking orders in your launch. So this leads to your open cart. This is where we'd have something we call a sales video, or it could be a sales letter, or it could be a live broadcast, where you come from here and now this is simply, hey, let's reset. So, hey, I know you're interested in having a guitar repertoire because you probably feel that frustration that so many of us guitarists feel where you've got the guitar, you've probably had it for possibly years right now and you can't play songs, or maybe you can play one song. And, there are so many people that fall into this camp, and it's so frustrating that someone comes, you bought the guitar to be able to play. You probably bought the guitar to be able to play a song and even sing to yourself and maybe sing to others. But it's tough putting it all together. And a lot of my students that I've worked with have come into me like that, and they've been able to play some chords and they've been able to play some melodies, but they can't actually play songs. And so what I've decided to do is, I know it's gonna be a little frustrating. I know it can be hard to find a guitar teacher, and I know I've got more people that want to work with me that I can take, and it's expensive to take lessons. I mean, if you were going to take a few months of lessons, that's not inexpensive, right? So what I've decided to do, because the whole world's gone digital, and we've got this great new tool called Zoom. You've probably been on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lead a small class, and we're going to be focused on creating your guitar repertoire. You're going to go through it with me. You're going to get direct feedback from me. You're going to see me giving direct feedback to the other students in the class. We're all going to work together. We're actually, if we work up our courage, we're going to share our playing together. Maybe some will be recordings. Maybe we'll actually be doing it live and playing for each other live and playing together live and learning how to, actually, that'll be the bonus, is learning how to play together with others. There we go. I just, boom. Do you see what I did there? That's the bonus. That's the bonus. Okay, so we're back to that video. And so if you're interested in joining me in this, it's coming up next week. I'm going to start it. We're going to do 1 Zoom per week, so you have plenty of time to work on things in between. If you can't make the live sessions, there'll be recordings available. I'll be giving you the tablature. I'll be giving you the lyrics. I'll be giving you the PDF with the 10 songs, or actually with the 20 songs we're going to work on. You can pick any 10 of those that you want. And it's going to be awesome. We're going to have a lot of fun together. We're going to make a lot of progress. And on the other end, you're going to come out with a guitar repertoire. And if you're not completely dialed in, you are going to be going down the path. And you know what? I'll even throw in a bonus one-on-one training with me, or no, one-on-one evaluation session afterwards, so we can tweak anything that needs to get tweaked. And so you might be, at this point, you might be wondering what this thing would cost you. And the reality is, if you look at what a guitar lesson would cost you, which is about $40 a session, and to work up a repertoire like this, it might take you, I don't know, 15 or 20 sessions, and so that would equal whatever that would equal. For this, to work with me like this, work on me a small group, get the individualized feedback in that group setting, it's only $297. And so there'll be a link down below. Click that link and join me. I've got very limited space available, obviously, because of the small interactive nature of this. So there's an example. And I said $297. I could have said, if I wanted to, I could have said $497, right? Okay? Did you get that? So that's what this OC is like. It's not, it can be as informal. I mean, as informal as what I just did, right? I just riffed through it. I'm not a guitar teacher. I'm a guitar buyer, sometimes guitar player. I'm not a guitar teacher, but do you think that kind of an offer would be interesting? Would that be interesting? I mean, I'm sort of proud of the way I just riffed on that, Dan.
You're killing it.
Yeah. I mean, it felt pretty solid.
It's almost like you've taught this before.
Almost like I have taught this before. Okay, so your goal here is to make sales. You come out of that, then you give them, a buy button. This is the buy button. After that video, they buy, and then they go into this cohort of your buyers. You make some sales. Now, what I would love for you, one of the things is, this tends to be a very compelling offer. It tends to be about just one of the easiest sales. I mean, really, if you follow the product launch formula, if you follow that sideways sales letter, and you develop the authority, and you hit all of those mental triggers, then people are going to want more from you. And the absolute easiest sale is one-on-one. But one-on-one, you don't get the leverage of working with a small group, and there's a lot of other benefits of working with a small group. So this is the second easiest sale. It tends to be a sale that converts very, very well. My goal for you is to get 20 to 30 sales. No, I wrote 20 to 300. 20 to 30 sales. It doesn't always happen. It doesn't, I had a seed launch where I got 6 sales. That's okay. Because this isn't about making a huge amount of money. This is about playing the long game. It's about playing the long game where you're going to set yourself up in business. Because then what you do is Well, here, let's just talk about what you get. First of all, you get prospects. People have joined your list. As you start to do this, you gain prospects. These are people that are on your email list. We call them prospects. That's your prospect list. Okay, then you get money. This isn't about like going and buying a Ferrari money. This isn't crazy change your life money necessarily. If you got 20 people at $300, I think that would be $6,000. That would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? $6,000 would be freaking amazing. But you know, you might get less than that. You very well might get less than that. It all depends on your market. It depends how big your list gets. But let's just say you get 20 to 30 sales. And then here's the important thing, is you get buyers or clients, because a buyer or a client is worth a huge amount to you. It's worth because they're the people that will buy from you again in the future. They'll become your case studies. They'll become your evangelists, right? Okay, so then what you do is after, this is where the magic happens, because this is where the magic happens. This is how you get paid before you create the product. And this is how, like Michael, you end up creating a great product. So now you say you've got 20 people that bought. Actually, let's say you have 10 people. You had 10 people that bought. Okay, let's understate everything here. Then what I did when I had 6 people buy, I just invited some friends that in the industry that might not have seen my launch. I invited some friends that I felt squeamish about asking them for the sale, you know, like family members and stuff. Different people have different feelings, but I ended up allowing, I think, another 20 people to come in. And what's important is this works better though. If you can have a cohort that's in this 20, 30, 40 people, you'll get more feedback and better feedback, and you end up with a better product. So what you do is whatever that cohort is, say it's 10, and then say you invited 10 friends in a friends and family pass, which I'm not advocating, it's just what I did. It's probably not the best thing to do. But say you end up with 20 people, whether you've sold them or you've comped some in, whatever. Now what you do is first what you do is you take whatever you're going to teach, and say it's the guitar repertoire piece. And what did we say? It was going to be identify songs, it was going to be chords, strumming patterns, singing and playing, and putting the repertoire together. So what you're going to do is you're going to have 5 calls. And those calls, you're going to address each of those topics. So you take whatever your domain of knowledge is. If it's about meditation, divide it into 5 areas. If it's speaking French, divide it into 5 areas. That's going to be a tough one. Speaking French, to do that, that'd be tough. But to get them to get enough French to be able to travel and speak basic phrases, you could probably do it. If it's going to be improving your tennis serve, 5 areas, right? Okay, so you take it and divide it into 5 areas. You're going to do a call on each area. A call relates alive. It could be Zoom, Insta, YouTube, whatever medium you want, whatever platform you want, you'll do a live on. And so, but first, you're going to invite people in to take a survey. And you're going to say, hey, thanks for joining me. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see the results you get. I can't wait to see you have that guitar repertoire where you can play 10 songs and you have the confidence to be able to do it with no anxiety, and you can see people's faces light up when they want to sing along with you. I can't wait to see you have that result. Now, the way we're going to do this is we're going to do it over these 5 live Zoom calls, and I'm going to be coaching you ahead of time. I'm going to be giving you homework all along the way. But the first one is going to be on song selection. Because this is where I see people make or break it. You can either make your life miserable or you can make your life easy, and it all comes down to song selection. So can you tell me your top questions? Just tell me that if we were going to sit down for a cup of coffee, what would be the 2 questions that you would ask me about song selection? So you send that to the survey, and everyone fills that out. And then now what you have is you have the agenda for your first call. You don't have to sit there and make it up. And that's why you end up having a great product, because it's tuned to what people want. So you take all their responses, you clump it together, put it in a document, a Google Doc, a Word doc, a mind map, whatever you want, put it in there, put it in a logical order, then get on the call and basically go through those topics that they gave you. Then after that call, you send them to another survey. And this survey is like, hey, that was awesome. That was awesome first session. Thanks so much. If there's anything that I didn't cover about song selection, let me know. Now our next call, write it here. Again, in the survey software, there's all kinds of survey software options. There's free, there's paid, Google Forms. Just type in survey software, survey service, or whatever like that, and you'll find it in Google. And of course, in our Product Launch Formula Coaching Program, we give you all the tools on what to use where. Anyways, the second call is, the second survey is there anything else I need to cover on that first topic? And our second topic is this. What do I need to cover there? And then you get on the second call and you do that. And then that, you just repeat 5 times. Repeat 5 times right there. It's that simple. And so then I would always throw in, I'm a huge fan of over-delivery, giving people stuff they never even thought they were going to get. So I would promise 5 calls. I would do a 6th call that was just straight up Q&A, and just a wide open. We get on. We've been through 5 calls together. I want to do a bonus to make sure every question's answered. And then you might even throw in interview calls. You can add as many extra bonuses as you want. So like, what do you get out of here? What do you get out of here? You get, let me go for red here because this is critical. Once you do this, first of all, you get the video recordings. Because any platform you do this on, you're going to automatically get a video recording. That video recording could very well be your future product. Now, for me, when I did this, I was a perfectionist, a little bit of a perfectionist. So I took that video and I basically I reshot it so it could just be tighter. But you come out of this with lots of people, this is their product. You get video, you get audio, you get transcripts, because you can get all this stuff transcribed. In fact, transcripts these days are just about automatic and free. You get case studies, because your people go through this, and because you're delivering every step of the way what they want, what they need, they're going to get results. And then when they get results, they'll come back and they'll be happy to give you testimonials or case studies. And then you get advocates, and you learn your voice. We got another V here. You learn what the problems, what the hot buttons, what people stumble with. And you learn to speak to them, because you're just getting on with the friendliest audience ever. These people are going to love you going through this process. You get on with the friendliest audience ever. You get results for them. And along the way, you're learning how to speak to your avatar, how to speak to your ideal client. You're learning who your ideal client is. So this is super, super powerful. If it sounds too simple, it is simple. But it's effective. It's effective in getting you launched. It's effective, the deal is you collect the money here. This is where you get the money. You get the money here, right here. I don't know if you can see this, but this is the launch process. This is the delivery process. You get the money here before you do any of this. So you collect money before you do the product. Since you collected the money, you are absolutely going to do the product. Sometimes people procrastinate about creating a product. Once you get people that say, yes, I'm in, here's my money, you are going to create the product. It's incredibly powerful. Dan, do we have any questions coming in?
We do have some questions here. Okay, so let's see. We've got some questions about the seed launch, and then we've got a lot of different people who are trying to figure out how to fit this process into their market or into their niche. So I was thinking maybe we could just riff through a couple of those and we could just do a quick little get your thoughts, get a brainstorm, but not spend like a huge amount of time on all of them. Okay, cool. So one we've talked to about, so this would be one, launching a book, launching like for an author, doing something.
Well, so first of all, if you're the thing about launching a book, and we have lots and lots of our people, of our PLF owners come through and launch books. I don't think this process applies to launching a book, because you got to have your book done before you do your launch. Now the way, okay, so first of all, writing a book's hard. It is very, very hard. And it's easy to spend a year or 2 years writing a book. And it's easy to spend a year or two writing a book and having it miss the mark. You could do a seed launch and then have that seed launch actually inform the book. And then you'd be going into your book launch already having started to build a list. Now, book launches, there's two broad categories. There's self-published and there's trade published. So trade published means you've got a publisher like Hay House. And self-published means you're doing it on your own. And the launch strategies for the two different ones are very, very different. The one thing is, no matter what, you have to do the marketing. So a lot of people think when they get that contract from Simon & Schuster or Wiley or Hay House, that they are going, it's magical that your publishers are going to sell your book. They're not. You're responsible for the marketing either way. So you have to put together a book launch. Some people think a book launch is, you go on a book tour and you go to a bunch of bookstores and you sign books. That doesn't work. I mean, it just doesn't sell books for you. Unless you're some enormous celebrity. And even in that case, it's your celebrity selling the books, not you're stopping at a bookstore. PLF is incredibly effective. I'm only going through these three primary types of launches. I'm not going through the seed launch. But if you want to have success selling your book, you need to build an audience. And the way you build an audience is through launches. It's the best way to build a list. So you start building it here, do a seed launch, and then figure out what should be in the book. Now, since you're asking this, you probably already have the book written. So you already put that effort in. So that's cool. That's cool. So so this does not fit for that. But if you're just thinking about doing a book, start here, build the audience, get paid to build the audience. We've been talking a lot about building a list, about doing this. If you think about it, you go through this effort, you're getting paid to create your list. You want to engineer your business, and we'll talk about this through all of these different types of launches. If you're doing this right, your list building is self-funding, and it's doing it because you have offers that you're communicating in your launch. So you are basically getting paid to create your following. It's a cornerstone of the way this business operates. Not just my formula, but the way this business operates.
Awesome. And also for a lot of these questions where folks are asking, like, does this work in this market, this work in this market? One reason why we're sharing three different types of launches is because they do work for different people at different times in different sorts of industries and stuff like that. So make sure that you stick around. We're going to be going. This is just the first of the types of launches that we're talking about on this broadcast today. Okay, so how about another one? So one person's asking, so if they do, this one person, I missed the name, went by really fast in the chat, but I got your question. This person does live training things, usually. They're asking, can they teach these seed launch, can they teach their seed launch, deliver it live?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to do it live. That is the way to do this because that way you get the most feedback from people. You could do this and have these all be recorded videos, but I think most cases you want to be live because, you know what, it's just easier for humans to have conversations than to monologue into a video camera. So I would highly suggest doing these live.
Awesome. So we're getting some questions like, how do you know what sort of price level would you do for a seed launch? Is this a high ticket thing? Is this a start?
It varies. It varies by market. You can see just from the chat and you can see from the examples I've shown you already that I have people in every market you can imagine. So when I did a seed launch, when I first taught how to do a launch, when I first taught this whole formula, I taught it as a seed launch. And I charged $3,000 for it because it was what we call a dimes to dollars argument. I knew if people paid me in dimes, they would make dollars. Or if they paid me in dollars, they would make hundreds of dollars. So it was relatively easy to charge a higher price. Now, if you're teaching the guitar repertoire, you're probably not going to charge $3,000 for that. It might be $300 or $500. The beautiful, now every market is different and some of them share characteristics, but one thing about the guitar market, prices would be lower, but it's a much, much bigger market. The market of people that want to play guitar just is monstrous. The market of people who want to start an online business is relatively small, right? So I can charge high prices, but I don't have a very big audience compared to guitar or dog training. So it's relative to your market, but it's also I mean, if you think about it, I would like to look at, like, what does it cost? What would one-on-one coaching cost if you did that? And then add up that one-on-one coaching to get the result you're going to deliver, and then be somewhere down below that. And I think here's an overall lesson for all of this, everything I'm teaching in this entire masterclass, is you want to be at the higher end of the market. So obviously, every market has a pricing variable. If you go to get a car, you can buy a Hyundai or a Chevy, or you could buy a Mercedes, or you could buy a Ferrari, or you could buy a Bentley. All of them are cars that will drive you down to the grocery store, but they're radically different prices. It could be at least 10, 20, 30, maybe even 100-fold price difference between the most inexpensive car and the most expensive car, right? Because the most expensive car is up in the millions, and you can get the most basic car for, I don't know what, $20,000 or something like that. And so in every market, there's this great big continuum. You want to be at the higher end of the market. Now, I'm not saying you want to be at the $1 million hypercar market, but you might want to be at, like, the BMW or the Mercedes area. Because what you want to do is you want to compete on value. You don't want to compete on price. In fact, this was in the Transformational Value Manifesto. It's about the value you can create for people. One of the first things I said yesterday is we are in the business of transforming people's lives. We're either giving them more pain, we're either taking away pain or giving them more pleasure. And we have to communicate what that value is. What is the value of having a great meditation practice? I mean, really, what is the value? How do you value that? How do you value having a great, I think it's extraordinary. I know, like, for me, it calms my nervous system. It calms my mind. It allows me to focus. It makes me a much better father. It makes me a much better husband. It keeps me present. It makes me stay in the moment. Priceless, right? But it's hard to value. So how do you value it? You value it by taking people through this process, by showing them that opportunity to have this life where they're more calm, where they're more present, where they're a better husband, better wife, better son, better daughter, more present to the beauty in their lives, that they have that opportunity, and what it would mean, the transformation that it would mean for them. How the transformation would be a better father, better husband, better business person, then getting them to take ownership. So throughout here, you're creating the value, and that allows you to sell at the higher end of the market. Again, you're just starting out. You don't want to be the most expensive in the market, but you want to be at the higher end. Because when you're at the higher end, remember, we come back here, we're talking about building a list and getting paid to build a list. Well, it's not free if you're driving paid traffic off of Facebook, off of TikTok, off of Twitter. It's not free to do that, right? It costs money. It's not free. Social might feel free, but it takes effort. It's not free. So these things take either effort or money, and when you're at the higher end of the market, because you've used this sales process, the product launch formula to be effective in selling, then it allows you to spend more money over here to build your list bigger, to build your list faster, to get a better list. So yeah, I know I went off a lot, but I think I can't imagine too many niches or too many markets where you would want to be under $300 for this seed launch. It's my opinion. And like I said, I've done $3,000. Okay, I think I beat that one into the ground.
Okay, most of the questions I'm getting right now, I think a lot of them will be cleared up once we move on to the other types of launches. So,
wait, Dan, we didn't get the classic question didn't come in?
I think you already kind of covered that pretty well. But sure, yeah.
I'm just looking at this. Usually, yeah, so here, I just saw a question. Patty said, still very abstract to me, don't see how to translate the slam art. You know, we are on our second day of an 8-day masterclass here. I've got a lot to share with you. I haven't been able to answer every single question, every single niche, every single market, every single situation out there. But we're going to get to a lot of them, including selling your art. I think we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll get to physical products later today. We got a lot of ground to cover. Just trust the process. Trust the process. So the classic question, people are like, how does this work? How can you actually get paid? Isn't that unethical to take people's money if you don't even have a product? Isn't that illegal, unethical, slimy, wrong, or it just doesn't work? And if you have an asset, is anyone wondering that? Is anyone wondering that? Is anyone wondering that? Because that question usually comes in quite a bit. Okay, it did cross Nat's mind.
Yeah, I didn't see anyone asking if it was like wrong or something. We did have some people asking like what the process was around that though.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, so first of all, once you start to look for this, it happens everywhere in the world. Everywhere in the world. Like when I went to college, I paid my tuition before they deliver the classes. When I go to a play, I buy the ticket before they perform it. When I get a subscription to a newspaper, I pay for the subscription before I get the newspaper. So once you start to look around, probably half the stuff, massage, I pay for a massage before they deliver it. Once you start to look around, probably half the stuff you buy is like this. And to the like, well, how it would work or why it would work, think of it this way. Like say, let's go to guitar. If I want to, say like Keith Richards is like, I think I'm going to teach rhythm guitar. And he put out an offer, right? Keith Richards is like, oh my gosh, I can learn from Keith Richards. And so say I had a choice. One choice was a video course by Keith Richards. And the other choice was I get to get on the Zoom live with him and get live feedback from Keith Richards. Oh my God, which would I choose? And oh, by the way, when I do the live one with him, I also get the video recordings. So I get the video. Which would I pick? Would I pick a video course where he's all scripted and stuff? Or would I choose to actually get on with him, get feedback from him, be able to ask questions? I think it's obvious. I'd want to be on live with him. And that's why this works so, so well. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Should we move along to the internal launch?
Oh yeah, okay. So that was the seed launch. That's the first of 3. Next up is the internal launch. So let's talk about the joint venture launch, or the JV launch for sure.
Dang it, I jumped the gun.
Jumping ahead a little bit. So the internal launch, this is where if you have a product, an offer, a service, a membership, a widget, whatever, if for artwork, you wouldn't be doing a seed launch. Probably not. You'd be doing an internal launch. And so this is the classic sideways sales letter. Again, if you missed lesson 1, you'll be able to get the recording, but that's the sideways sales letter. So you have 3 pieces of pre-launch content that lead into the open cart period. So this is the pre-launch sequence, the open cart sequence. What you're doing is this is your email list, and this is any other following you have, such as social. And what you'll do is you'll drive them into each piece of pre-launch content. So you'll take people through your sideways sales letter. So this is being driven by the audience that you already have. Now, one thing that's important these days, people are like, email us, can't we do it via social? Email's still the most effective. If you were to come to me and say and ask my top 100 clients, would they choose email or would they choose social? Yeah, I mean, humans, they like to disagree, but I bet you if you ask my top 100 clients, I think somewhere between 98 and 100 of them would say email. I have seen inside of hundreds of launches, I've seen the metrics, I've seen the numbers. Social just does not compare. Because like the reality is if you put something up on social, put something on Facebook and like what percent of your followers will see it? Like almost like what, 5, 10%. You put something on Insta, only a small chunk of your followers will see that. That's the way social works, right? And so email, you press that send button and 100% of them are going to get an email. Now they might not open it and they might not click on it, but at least they're getting it. And so email is still the king. I've been building email lists since 1996, still absolutely the king. But social is huge because social gives you another way to reach people. So what I want you to think about is this is your overall audience. Think of it, obsess about building the email list, but also know that you reach people in multiple places. You want to be omnipresent. You want to be everywhere you can be. And so I like to think of this, as one big happy audience. And what we'll do is often we'll advertise on social to the people on our email list. And that's all pretty simple to do these days. So you send your entire audience into your pre-launch and you're sending them into each piece of pre-launch. And then you're sending them into the open cart. Now, I'm going to talk extensively about the open cart tomorrow, but it's a sequence. It's not like an event. It's not like a one-time thing. There's actually a sequence that's anywhere from 4 to 7 days long. So you drive people into the open cart, and what do you get from that is you get buyers, right? You get buyers. You get clients. In my business, when someone joins us in the Product Launch Formula Coaching Program, we call them owners because it's just, to me, they're cherished. They're owners. They're not buyers. They're not clients. They're owners. And in fact, we have a rule in the company that when we're talking about our owners, the O in owners is capitalized. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass when we're slacking back and forth and we're talking about owners, but that's one of we don't have a lot of rules, hard and fast rules in the company, but one of them is our owners, we always capitalize. So here's the thing, is you've been building your list, right? Say like you've done a seed launch, you got 300 people, and then while you were delivering it, you kept on putting content out there, and maybe you started dripping a little bit of ads in, and you started growing your list, and maybe you've gotten your list up to, let's get really aggressive, and let's say you've gotten your list up to 1,000. What often happens is if you do this right and you follow the PS path, again, I covered that yesterday in lesson 1, you do the PS path, that's the formula for creating super compelling content, and you will generally get word of mouth here. And I've heard this so many times where people will go from like 1,000 people to 2,000 people just via word of mouth. So we're making up numbers. There's no income claims. I'm not saying this is average, normal, anything like that, but we're just making stuff up, right? But let's just say you got it up to 2,000 people. All right, so 2,000 people. And that's amazing, that's awesome, that's fantastic. You're really happy about that. And you do this launch, and I don't know, maybe you get, out of 2,000, 10% would be 200. So let's say you get a 5% response would be 100. Let's say you get 50 people to buy. Actually, I'm going to make it easy on me. I'm just going to say you get 100 people to buy. So you get 100 people to buy, and you have 2,000 people on your list. So you have 2,000 buyers, and you have 100 new clients. This is an important founding principle of this business that I want you to focus on, is that you now have 2 lists. Going forward in the future, you will have other offers. You will do other launches because you'll always be launching. You'll always be launching. And so when you go into that next offer, the people on this list will be worth, on average, 15 times more. You'll get a 15 times higher response from these people than you would from these people. 15, now that's just anecdotal for me. And it might vary. I'm sure the number varies from 10 times to 15 times or maybe even higher. But anecdotally for me, when I look at who buys my next product, these people buy at a 15 times rate. So if these people bought at I don't even want, basically what will happen is you'll get more buyers out of this 100 than you'll get out of this 2,000. It's crazy. So the way you stay in this business for the long term is by doing this and getting new buyers, new clients, because they will sustain everything going forward. So when you do, first I want to just stop there and see if that landed. Yep. So Allie, or AG, you're doing the math a little wrong. It's not 100 divided by 2,000. Yeah, that's not the math you want to be doing. Santhia, it's got a little lost. This is the thing, is you are in business, you're not, big picture, long term, you're not marketing to get clients. You're getting clients to, let me think of a way to say this. The greatest asset in your business going forward is not going to be your social media following. It's not even going to be your email list. It's not going to be your products, your content. It's not your email list. It's your buyer list, your client list. That's the most valuable asset you have in your business. So you always think about, you don't think about I've got 2,100 people, or you think about I've got 2,000 prospects, I've got 100 buyers, and those 100 buyers are absolutely gold. I treat them like gold, and they are going to drive everything in the business. Okay, it's that simple. Once they buy from you, it's 15 times easier to get them to buy from you again. And you will be making future offers, okay? Okay, so when we come out of this, Dan, let me know if we got, I don't want to spend too much time in the math here because I just made the math up. Let me know if there's other questions here.
I think just one quick clarification that came in from our team. I think you might have misspoke and said 2,000 buyers instead of 2,000 subscribers. So that was just causing a little bit of confusion.
Yeah, okay, sometimes that happens. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. Yeah, the point again is just 15 times. 15 times, it's just because once someone's bought from, it's this easy. Once someone has bought from you, they've already displayed trust in you, and then if you show that you've earned that trust and deliver them, it's just naturally that much easier to buy from them. So the way this business works is it's hard to make a business, a long-term sustainable business, if you just make one sale and never make another sale, if you never have anything else to sell them, right? So that's why it's so powerful to get buyers. And that's sort of beyond teaching the internal launch. I just want to make sure you get a grounding in how this business works. Okay, we come over here. Some of the things you get out of this launch. Let me see if I can remember all these. First, you get dollars. You get typically the internal launch is going to get you a lot more sales than the seed launch, because you have a bigger list, right? So you get that. You also get, one of the really cool things you get is, let's put it down here, is you get you've nailed down your sideways sales letter. You've created this launch, and you can reuse this. So I'm doing this live for you, but I'm also creating recordings, and those are assets you can reuse in a future launch. Now, I tend to do it live every single time, but lots of people will do it live, and then they'll be able to use those recordings in a future launch. So it's an amazing asset, and it will also be a great asset as we get to the JV launch. I'll show you that in just a minute. So you build your list. You get a bigger list. Let's just call that a bigger list, a greater list. So you've built up the list. You get more case studies. You get results for your clients. So you can do case studies or testimonials. You also get that the buyers that I was just talking about, which is absolutely awesome. And then there's this one other thing that in the long run will often be worth more than the dollars you make. And it's what we call the launch echo. Because again, if you follow the PS path through here and you deliver, you just deliver great value in using that formula: opportunity, transformation, ownership, PS path, problem solved, problem solved, problem solved. You're going to impress people. People are going to notice that. People in the industry will notice that. And all of a sudden, you're going to find you might be getting invited onto podcasts. You might be getting invited to speak. You might be getting invited to be a content partner. You might have people coming to you saying, hey, can I add, I've got this cool thing, maybe you want to offer it as a bonus. You might be getting on radio. You could even be getting on TV. The echo from doing this, because what are you creating? Going back to yesterday, for those folks who are here, we went over the mental triggers. Think about those mental triggers. When you follow that PS path and you deliver all that value, what are you creating? Community? Well, yep, sure. Authority. You're now seen as an authority. That was, Elizabeth got that one. Who else? Authority. Okay, thanks, Gail. Okay, there's another one. Reciprocity. There you go. You're creating this goodwill, this reciprocity, this authority, and all of a sudden people are coming to you as the established, seen expert. So super, super powerful. Once you build this once, you can use it over and over. You can relaunch. A lot of times our PLF owners will launch 2 times a year, sometimes 3, up to even 4 times a year. It all depends if you're getting new folks on your list. If you're getting new folks on your list consistently, then you could launch 3 or 4 times a year for the same product, basically using the same sideways sales letter. And you could, if it's video, it's super easy to reuse. If it's live, it's still relatively easy to reuse because you've figured out your messaging all the way through. Okay. How are we doing, Dan?
We're doing good. Folks are tracking with you, I think.
Awesome. You know, there's one thing I want to speak to, though, that's super present to me right now. And that's where we are in the world right now. What's happening in the world right now? And I don't want to get too heavy right here, but, you know, the thing is like, what have we gone through? What have we gone through in the last few years? What have we gone through? We went through a pandemic. Okay, that was something I never went through before. That was like, okay, our world, in a matter of a few weeks, completely shifted. Okay, then we've got incredible divisions here in the United States, but also many other places. I know in Brazil, they're going into their I don't know if they call it a runoff, but I would call it a runoff. You know, it's crazy times. Then we've got a major ground war in Europe. What else do we got going on? What else have we got going on? You know, it's like, Deborah, I am sorry to hear that. Climate change. Oh, recession. Well, you know what? We don't even know if we're technically in a recession, but it sure feels like it's coming, right? It's like this slow roll. I mean, normally like a recession's like, oh my God, we're going into recession. Now it's like it's just another thing. It's just another thing that's been going for 3 years. We've got inflation. I mean, I remember inflation here in the US, last time we had inflation was when I was a kid. We've got inflation. We've got, you know, real estate looks like it's about to get a little wonky, a little sideways. What just went on with those UK bonds a couple weeks ago? And oh, by the way, the Britain's fairly stable. They're cycling through governments like there's no tomorrow. What am I missing here? There's other. It's just crazy. Oh, we've got people like losing jobs. It's crazy town, right? And so this isn't the first time I've been through this. I've been in business for a long time. In 2001, we had a dot-com crash. Squarely landed right on top of me, because that was all about the stock market melting down. And that was my market. That was my niche, was teaching about investing, and the market's imploding. Oh, that's another thing that's happening right now. It's the market's dropping. Your 401k is dropping. So I went through 2001, I went through 2008, the economic collapse, went through 2008, 2010, 9/11, COVID. And this is what I know. This is what I have seen firsthand, is in these times, when there are challenging times, well, first of all, the opportunity is greater than ever. Some of the greatest businesses in the world have come out of crazy times. Disney started in the middle of the Depression back in the 30s. Some of the greatest businesses, greatest opportunities are in these times. But the problem is that as humans, when there's a threat, what do? There's 3 responses. You've heard this before. What is it? Fight, flight, or freeze. And the thing you do not want to do right now is freeze. You don't want to sit back and hope. You don't want to sit back and hope that something's going to change. You don't want to sit there and spend your time clicking refresh on the news. That's not moving you forward. You don't want to sit there and track minute by minute what's happening in your 401k. That's freezing. There's going to be a lot of people have frozen, and a lot of people are going to continue to freeze. And I've just seen this over and over. You see, there's a recession that's almost certainly coming, at least here in the United States, and the whole world is getting wonky. You don't want to freeze. You don't want to freeze. What you want to do is you want to build your capabilities. You want to gather the tools. You want to gather the capabilities. You want to gather the strategies. You want to give yourself some amount of control. Now, if you want to get super metaphysical and go all zen, none of us have control over anything at any time. But what I know is some of you, if you stuck around to the end yesterday, you heard a little bit of my backstory. And there were desperate times, and there was times where I didn't have capabilities. And then I stepped onto the leverage train, the success train, where I started to grow those capabilities. And that's what you need to do in these times. You have to take control. And I hope you step into this world, because this is a world where you actually do have some amount of control. You're not waiting, hoping you get a raise. You're not waiting, hoping that your 401k comes back. And I hope it does, and it will, for sure. You're not sitting around hoping that you don't lose your job. You're taking control. You're not freezing. You're grabbing the capabilities and the tools so that you have control, where you can create value in the world, communicate value in the world, and get paid for that value. Even if you're in a job and want to stay in a job forever, increasingly going forward, people are going to get paid by creating value. By creating value and having that value be seen and known. And then you get rewarded for that value. And everything I'm showing you is about how you create value in the world, how you gain those capabilities. So that was just a little sidebar, because I do know, I'm watching the comments, and I know what's going on in the world. I'm tapped into it, and I don't want you to freeze. Okay, so Dan, do we have anything else, or should we go to just go to JVs? Okay, let's go to the JV launch. So let's talk about the joint venture launch, or the JV launch for short. I like to think of this launch as pouring gasoline on a fire. You've got this nice little fire going with your seed launch, your internal launch, and you take a can of gasoline or petrol, for those of you outside the States, pour it on there, and it just blows up in a big way, in a good way. So this launch, it requires more work, but the results can be absolutely breathtaking. What you're doing is you're using the power of other people's lists. Because whatever market you're in, there are other people, other leaders, other experts, other gurus who've done the hard work of building up a big following. And this is where those people tell their followers, their email list, about your launch, They'll mail their people and they'll say, go check out Sally's launch. Go check out Fred's launch. And when they send those emails, those people will click through to your page and see your launch. Now, why would they do that? Because if you end up making sales to the people they send over, then you'll pay them a commission. This ends up being a win-win-win, because the people that go through your launch and buy from you, they're going to get the great experience of being one of your clients. And of course, because you've probably gone through a seed launch and you've gone through an internal launch, you've got a great product and a great launch and a great system. You've followed the formula. So the people that buy from you get a great experience. You get a great experience because you get so many more clients. And then your partner gets a great experience because they've helped out the people on their email list, and they make money from it when you pay them commissions. And if you reflect back on those mental triggers from lesson 1, think about like that authority trigger, even that social proof trigger. Well, what if you're in a given market? Maybe it's learn guitar, and you're someone who wants to learn guitar, and all of a sudden you start getting all these emails about Sally, who's doing the launch about how to play guitar. All those emails from all those different people coming into someone's inbox, massive social proof, creates massive authority. And think about it. If you get 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 30, it doesn't, just think about all those people mailing their lists. You could have 3 partners with 10,000 people on each of their lists, all of a sudden mailing into your launch. Now, for me personally, I did internal launches for years, and then I did seed launches. The biggest launch I'd ever done was $110,000 in a week. And that was an amazing number. It was incredible when I did that. But the first time I did a JV launch, I did over $600,000. So I went from best launch ever, $110,000, best internal launch, $110,000, up to $600,000. And the second time that I did a JV launch, $3.7 million. So when I say pouring gasoline on a fire, when I say blowing up your results and making them so much bigger, that's what the JV launch is all about. Now again, I love to teach from example, so let's hear from the real world right now.
Hi, my name is Dylan Frost. My market is teaching people how to be a better Amazon seller, or teaching people how to start selling on Amazon. So let me give you a little context here. I had a successful business selling physical products on Amazon, and then I discovered product launch formula. It was the first time I'd ever learned anything about marketing, about sales psychology, about mental triggers, all that different stuff. I had never been exposed to it before. I didn't go to college or anything like that. So there was never a way for me to be introduced to these things and learn them. But when I learned it from Jeff, when I learned it in product launch formula, it totally changed everything for us. So we had a successful business selling on Amazon. But what we did after learning from Jeff was we decided, okay, we're definitely going to create an information program to teach other people the same kind of successes and strategies that we've learned around Amazon, to teach them how to build their own successful Amazon business. But here's the thing. We knew we wanted to create this program, but we didn't have an email list. We didn't have any kind of social following. I didn't even use Facebook at the time. And so we didn't know how we could reach out to the audiences, how we could get this program in front of people so that they would purchase it. So the solution for us was to use JV partners, to find someone else that would be willing to take our program and promote it. So before we ever even created the program, before we ever created the course, what we did was we identified some people in the Amazon space, in the Amazon marketing space, and started reaching out to them. And we told them about our business, our Amazon business, and the success of our Amazon business, and telling them, hey, we could build this course, this program, and if we did, would you be willing to promote it? We asked a whole lot of people, and a whole lot of people said no, which is fine. But we did identify one person who said yes. he would. He enjoyed our story. He wanted to be able to share it, and we entered a partnership where he would promote it, and he would earn 50% of the sales and commission for promoting it. So we had someone that would. He just had a Facebook group with like a few hundred people in it. That's what he had access to be able to promote it, but that was good enough for us. We created the program. He promoted it, and it's interesting. At the time, we had nothing. Our course was actually made. Our website was a Wix website. Our course was actually hosted in Wix. We didn't have a payment processor, so we borrowed the guy that was promoting us, and he just had like a 400 or 500 person Facebook group. That first launch, that JV launch, did about $130,000 in sales, and it's what got us started in the information marketing space. So now we had two successful businesses, our Amazon business and the information marketing business. And one thing led to another. That's the success of that launch with him, and the success that he had there. Other people noticed it and recognized it in the Amazon space. So we picked up more JVs and more JVs. So the next launch did 300,000, then 600,000, then $1 million, then 1.2 million, then 1.4 million, then 1.6 million, and it's continued to evolve and grow from there. At this particular point, our last 10 launches in a row have done over $1 million through the snowball effect that's generated from that very first one, where we didn't have a list, we didn't have any way, like nothing like that ahead of time. And some tips around JV partners and JV promotions that I really want to give is to be able to find great JV partners. You have to provide them some sort of value. That's the best way that you can pick up great JV partners. If they don't know who you are, if they've never met you before, is if you can provide them some sort of real authentic value, then they're much more likely to want to work with you and enter in a partnership with you, where you can create this great relationship that can benefit both of you. So what does that look like? I can give you some examples of things that I've done before to secure JV partnerships. So one thing is, our course, our program is built around teaching people how to sell on Amazon, or how to better succeed with selling on Amazon. So many of the JV partners we would reach out to are people with Amazon businesses. So we would help and support them, identify things that would help, that we could recognize because we were knowledgeable about Amazon, that would support and help their Amazon business, right? So we would do free consulting or help them in any sort of way to build up that reciprocity, which Jeff teaches a lot about reciprocity. And then that would help work us into the relationship where they would be willing to work with us, right? So it seems like things like that. If you can find people in your space or your niche, provide them some sort of value through any means necessary, build that partnership, that relationship, and then they're way more likely to promote you. So that's a big tip for me there.
Okay, let's jump into the JV launch. I mean, Dylan is ridiculous. No words for that, but he's made it work, and he made it work in a very simple process by going and finding someone who was the owner of a Facebook group and said, hey, would you promote for me? And that person became their partner. So this is the JV launch, the joint venture launch. Another way to think about it is an affiliate launch. I mentioned it already, I'll say it again. This is where you leverage the value of other people's lists. No matter what market you're in, there are people that have done the hard work of getting people to follow them, getting them on their list, building a community, building a following. And so what you do is you ask those people to support your sideways sales letter. So here we've got our sideways sales letter. It's just like back in the internal launch. You could actually, if your internal launch was successful, you can actually reuse the same way sideways sales letter. That's what's beautiful about the JV launch. Now the JV launch, this is where you can really blow things up. So the first time I did JV launch, up till then, the biggest launch I'd ever done was $110,000. My first JV launch was $600,000. 6 times, almost 6 times bigger. Now, they are more complex, there's more work involved, and you need to build up the relationships with your JV partners. And I'll talk about the margin. The margin is not as high, but still going from $110,000 to $600,000 is a pretty remarkable result, right? So that's what's beautiful about these JV launches. So what you do, you got your sideways sales letter, you have your same open cart right there. After people go through that, then they join you and they become buyers. And we know how much more valuable are buyers to your business than they are than prospects. We've drilled that in, so I'm sure in the chat some of you are going to get the right answer there. So we're just going to go a little bit backward. Well, actually, here, what you do is you get some partners to promote. Now, Dylan started out with one partner, and that's a great place to start. But here's a little a little behind the scenes. What you're observing here is my JV launch. So I had a whole bunch of partners. So you might have come from did anyone in the chat? Did anyone come here because Denise DT, Denise Duffield Thomas told you about me, right? I bet you there are a few. Yep, Denise, Sandy, there's too many. There's a lot of you that came here because of Denise. Denise has been an incredible partner for us over the years. I changed her life with the Product Launch Formula, and so she's eternally grateful, and every year she sends us a lot of people, tells them about Product Launch Formula. Did anyone come through Aurelian? Aurelian's been part of my world for 12 years now. I think this might be the first time he's actually sent us to participate as one of our JVs. How about Reed? Reed Tracy of Hay House, a dear friend of mine, an amazing human being. Did anyone come from Reed? Did anyone come from Reed or from Hay House? Yep, and then we had Christian Michelson, long-term promoter for us. I know we had Ocean, has sent a ton of people. Ryan Levesque sent us a lot of people. I know Ann Wilson has sent us a lot of people. I see in the comments people are mentioning Paul Pruitt, John Gallagher. I think it's like 280 different affiliates are sending traffic. So they're sending traffic into our squeeze page. They come into our squeeze page. What's the lead magnet is this masterclass. Sign up, you get the masterclass, you're going to get live trainings, you're going to get recordings, you're going to get after hours, you're going to get PDFs, you're going to get the transformational value manifesto, you get case studies, it's going to be amazing, put your email in. So they do, and they join our list. Now, earlier today, I told you how many people have come through this process that you've gone through. We're over 40,000 people in the last week have gone through this process and joined this list. 40,000 new folks are now in my world. And those 40,000 then go through our sideways sales letter. And so I know these questions will come up. Commission. So typical commission for like an online training, a digital product, 30, 40, 50%. So that means when you make a sale, you'll pay a commission to your partners. And this is where you get to make up the rules. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're rewarding your partners. And so I'm happy to give a very big commission. Now, if you're selling a physical product like jewelry or artwork or something like that, some type of a widget, your costs will be higher. So you'll typically pay a lower commission if you got a physical kind of product. But for information, I mean, there are times where I've done times where I've literally paid 100% commission, 100% of the selling price, because I knew there was going to be another sale in the immediate future after that. So that you get to make up the rules. Start with 50%. That's a good measure. I mean, it's a good, for a digital product, 50% is a good number. You get half the sale, half the dollars, they get half the dollars. When you do that, your margin goes down. So your margin is how much profit you get to keep out of the sales. So remember I said I went from the biggest launch I did before with an internal launch was 110, then I did 600,000. Well, I probably paid about 300,000 in commission. It left me with 300,000, so my margin was lower. But I ended up with more money, right? Because 300,000 is a lot more than 110,000. The technology, this is all handled automatically in your shopping. Most shopping carts have this built in, so all this tracking is done automatically. So you don't have to track what lead came and who made the sale. That's all tracked in the technology. And so those are my questions down here. I know those questions always come up. So let's just walk through some hypothetical math. Let's say each person here, I'm just going to hypothetical to make it easy for me. Let's say each person had 20,000 people on their list. Okay, so that means, what do we got? 6 names? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names. So that means, and trust me, all of these people have more than 20,000 people on their list. But let's just say they had 20,000 per, that'd be 140,000 people are hearing about my launch, are getting the emails. So let's just say, now not everyone who gets the email is going to open the email, and not everyone who gets it is going to click through it, but let's just say that 10% clicked through. So that means 14,000 people are going to click through, right? That means 14,000 people, if 140,000 people got the email, 1 in 10, 10% clicked on the email, that means 14,000 visit this page. Remember, we talked about different opt-in rates, but if 50% of those people entered their email address, then I would all of a sudden have 7,000 people on my list. And that 7,000 would just be from them mailing PLC 1. Now, if they all mailed PLC 2, I'd get a bunch more. And if they mailed PLC 3, I'd get a bunch more. Now, the reality is, they have much bigger lists, and they've got great click rates, and I've got a whole bunch more, and that's how I ended up with 40,000 people joining this launch in the last week or so. Now, these are big, high-powered players with huge followings and great relationships with their audience, so you end up with a number like this. Your first JV launch, you're probably not going to end up with a number. The first JV launch I did, I think I had 15 or 16 or 17,000. But you can see how leveraging the power of other people's lists takes things to a new level. Like I said, pouring gasoline on the fire. So, I mean, what do you get out of a JV launch? You get list growth on steroids. This is the fastest way you can possibly grow a list. It's just incredible. It's just super, super powerful. Again, it's a more sophisticated strategy. It's more work involved, but the list growth is crazy. So, you know, some of the other things you get, you get the old buyers. Dan, I don't know if they got the answer right, but those buyers are worth 15 times. People on this, once they become a buyer, they're worth 15 times. I'll keep on drilling that in. You also get the launch echo, but it's a lot more powerful right now because all of a sudden you're getting a lot of people are talking about you. It's much, much more powerful. And you get, a big part of that is positioning. And positioning means you're seen as a leader. You're seen as an expert. You could use the word influencer. You're seen as a major player in the market. Now think of this. Let's think about this. How many of you, up until a few days ago, had never heard of me? You'd never heard of me. How many of you had never heard of me, but then you got an email from one of these, or Paul Pruitt, or John Gallagher, or one of our other affiliates? How many of you never knew about me until just a few days ago, and you heard about? Yep, there. So Alexandra, yep, Erica, Amber, Diana, yeah, and then over here, yep, Carolyn, Michelle, Michael, Shelley. So now you know my name, right? You probably, since we're now 2 hours into this thing, almost 2 hours, you've probably think I'm something of an expert, that I know what I'm talking about, that I'm someone you maybe should pay attention to and listen to, right? That is positioning. And the positioning you get from, I don't know, I bet you it could be in the millions of people. I don't know. It's certainly in the hundreds of thousands of people in the last week have heard about me because of my partners. So the positioning of this is absolutely amazing. And then the dollars. You want to, here's a life-changing event. I told you first launch, or my biggest launch before I ever did a JV launch, was $110,000. Then I did that launch that did $600,000, which was amazing because those sales didn't stop there. Within that was a new business, and within 6 months I was at $1 million in sales. Then, because of that positioning, and because of the echo, a couple years later, I did another big JV launch. But this time I had way more partners because again, that first JV launch gave me the position in the echo. And that next launch, I did $1 million. Over $1 million in the first hour. In the first hour. That launch went on to do 3.7 million, and we were so overwhelmed with clients that we shut the launch down. We were doing $100,000 in sales per hour, and I stopped it because we couldn't service the clients we were getting. That's life-changing money. Even after I paid commissions, in fact, I went into, I started this business, I talked about this yesterday. My ultimate goal was to make $100,000 in a year. That was the biggest number. When I sat down to write goals, and it was like, okay, what is your ultimate goal for income? The biggest number that you can think of that you can actually believe. I wrote down $100,000. And here I was, it was 12 years later, so it wasn't overnight, it was 12 years later, but I made $3.7 million in sales in 34 hours. It was literally the end of me ever having to worry about money because I'm not a flashy person. I don't drive Mercedes I don't drive Mercedes. I don't drive Lamborghinis I live in the same home I've lived in for 20 years. It was like I never need to make another dollar. I told you this yesterday. I show up here for impact. And, the money keeps on coming in, and that's great. But that was life-changing. That's what a JV launch can do. Now, I don't want you to if you're just starting out, this isn't going to be your first launch. Not your first launch. Not your first launch if you're just starting out. But what you can do is you can start with a seed launch and get your first sales, your first buyers, your first product, learn your voice, learn who you're selling to, get your feet wet, understand that you now have the capability. You now have the control. People will pay you for the value you create. The first sale I made, I couldn't believe someone would actually give me money for something I could create. I jumped so high, I almost punched a hole in the ceiling. I was just, that was the moment everything changed. I knew I could create value in the world and get paid for it. That's what you do here. And then you take it here, and you really start to nail down that sideways sales letter. And then it's not going to happen overnight. It's probably not even going to happen in the first year. It might not even happen the second or third year, but how long do you have to wait to make $3.7 million worth it, right? No income claims. This is not average. It's ridiculous. It's just stupid to even think about it. But this is also the real world. This kind of stuff happens. The numbers might be different. The scale might be different. But this is a path that we see. And then you figure that out. What do you do? By now, you know so much about your people, your market. At this point, you often come back and do another seed launch and start the process again. But this time, the seed launch is a lot bigger, a lot more successful. This is something we call the circle of awesome. The circle of awesome. Because what you do is you're getting results for your people. You're using those results for those people to create better marketing, to create better products, better results for them, and you're moving through this process. That's the JV launch with a little bit of extra circle of awesome thrown in. Okay, there we go. Where are we at, Dan?
Okay, let's see. I'm just keeping up. I keep queuing up questions to ask you, and then you just keep answering. It's like you know what people are going to ask. Okay, let's do maybe a couple questions specific about the JV launch here before, and then maybe move on to just some kind of general PLF type questions. Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so here, this is a big one. Big one, I think the most common question I'm seeing, and the teams are telling me that people are asking about the JV launch, is how do you find these JV partners?
Okay, so this is one of the absolute easiest questions. Because there's a lot of questions here that are a little harder, but who are the leaders in your market? Who are the leaders? So like, I mean, if you're, I don't know, you're selling jewelry, like who's in your Insta feed that is also selling jewelry, right? If you are, you're teaching people how to ski, how to ski powder, who's showing up in your Insta feed? Who's showing up on your YouTube page? Who are the people that you're following? Who are the leaders in your market? Those are your people. And what you can do, you can just create a list of like who would be the 100 ideal partners for you. This is a great thing. Just create a spreadsheet, put the 100 down there of the ones that you want to connect with that would be great partners, and then start working towards that. Now, the actual work, I said that real quickly, it's harder building a relationship with them, but they're very visible. If you go to a website, I mean, just go to Google and type in how to ski and look at the top 100 websites. And if they've got an opt-in, then they're building an email list. And if they're building an email list, they could possibly be a partner. It's super easy to identify who your partners could be. Then it's a matter of building a relationship. And that's why this is a longer term thing, because you don't build a relationship with Denise overnight. She's got a lot of people coming to her, a lot of requests. She's got a great big business. You don't build a relationship with Reed Tracy overnight. He's got a lot going on. He's got a lot of people that would love if they mailed and promoted. The reality is Reed Tracy at Hay House, here's an interest, he has every single Hay House author, but certainly every new Hay House author, he has them go through the product launch formula training. He gets them training on this because he knows how powerful this is going to be. So if you look at Hay House, it's a huge company. They sell millions of books. He says every author has to understand my product launch formula in the Sideways Sales Letter. It's a requirement of being a Hay House author. Or at least, I don't know if he can actually force them to study it, but he makes sure they get exposed to this training. So in any case, it's not overnight that you build these relationships. And if we really want to, I need some, where's some space at? Oh, here we go. We'll go a little deeper here. In every market, it's like there's multiple levels. There's your A players. I'm not commenting on the quality of these people, who they are as humans. I'm commenting on the quality of their following, the size of their following, the quality of their ability, their capability to drive traffic into your launch. And there's some that are like Denise, right? They're at the top of the, it's going to be hard to find a partner better than Denise and Reed Tracy and Christian Michelson and Ryan Levesque. Then there's sort of the B players, which are, great followings, just maybe not as big, not as warm a following. And then you go down to, people that, they got a following, but it's not huge. These people are a lot easier to recruit, to turn into a partner. And I'll tell you what, here's an super insider, is you actually use the Sideways Sales Letter and you create a Sideways Sales Letter to attract partners. I'm just going to say, I'm not going to go deep on that. I'm just going to say that if you think about it, that Sideways Sales Letter is an amazingly persuasive tool. And if you use that persuasive tool to start to attract partners, it's super powerful. So you can start, these folks are a lot easier to get their email address. It's a lot easier to get a hold of them. And so you get a hold of them, you start building value for them, you build a relationship with them, eventually you ask if they want to promote. And these people know some of the D-level players. Okay, so eventually they're going to notice these people are promoting you, maybe you build a relationship with them. These people know these people, and you move up the food chain that way. Again, I'm not commenting on the value of these people as humans, I'm commenting on the value of, and their capability of driving traffic into your launch. So finding the partners, super, super easy. Recruiting the partners, getting them on board to promote is a little more involved and takes time. But you know what? $3.7 million is going to take effort and time. And I'm not promising it. You're not, can we just say you're not going to get $3.7 million in your next launch? Not going to happen. I'm just showing you this crazy path that I have been on.
That's awesome. Okay, so we've actually had a lot of people that talk about if you can use PLF for your book or for your publishing or for something like that. So since we were just talking about how Reed encourages everybody, could maybe do just like the 2-minute version of what that would look like to promote that?
Yeah, so again, there is a dichotomy between self-published and trade published. Self-published gives you it gives you a lot, there's a lot more options, especially after the launch, than trade published. But basically, what you want to do is you want to create, and first you want to build your audience ahead of time. And if you can do like a seed launch to help you finance the building of that, and you absolutely want to do that. The other thing you want to, I mean, no one makes a living by selling books. When I say no one, that's not completely accurate. You know, if you, you know, there's a few, like if you just happen to write Harry Potter series, yeah, you're making a lot of money. You know, if you happen to be one of the top 0.00001% of the people selling, especially selling fiction, they make a lot of money, right? But 99.999% of the authors out there have to make their money by something that comes after the book launch. They're taking people into a course, especially nonfiction. If it's fiction, you're taking people into your world so that they start to buy book after book after book in your series, and they get to know your characters and love your characters. So as you're coming in, first of all, you want to build your audience ahead of time. And if you want to be trade published, if you want to get that deal from Hay House or Simon & Schuster, the first question they're going to ask you is about your audience. Do you have an audience? And the deal is if you have an audience, you're going to get a book deal. If you don't have an audience, you're not going to get a book deal. That's just the way the world works. It's just the way the world works. And so doesn't mean, you know, so how do you build an audience? Do a launch. That's how you build an audience. Once you have an audience, then you want to take that audience and you want to turn them into your champions. And they are the ones, it's almost like you're not doing a launch to your audience to get them to buy the book. You're doing a launch to your audience to get them pumped up to be part of your book launch team. Make sense? You get them activated to help you promote and spread the word. And so you do that sort of the way you do any launch. This is what's coming. This is exciting. I'm just finished, I'm finishing up the book right now. Does anyone want to read a chapter? Or I'm going to do a reading of my first chapter. You want to show up for that? Or I'm looking at, book's done, I'm so excited about this, but I'm worried about the cover. I've got 4 different designs. Would you go and vote on my cover? So you're bringing them into the process. And if you're doing any kind of art, if you start to bring people into the process, you know, the reality is if you're an author or an artist, a creator, you're like a hero to people. Even if you don't feel like a hero, you see the mess. You see the paint splattered everywhere. You see the mess. But you are seen as something of a hero when you're that creator. And if you let people participate in the creation, even if it's just like listening to the reading of the first chapter or voting on which book cover or which subtitle, people support that which they help create. And even if they're just voting on the cover, they feel like they've got a hand in the creation of it. So you will lead into your launch with a number of pieces like that are teasing the launch that is coming up, but you're also trying to get them to join your book launch team so that when it goes live, they'll be posting on their social. They'll be putting up reviews. They'll be buying more than one book. They'll be telling their friends about it. And that's really the essence of a book launch, whether it's trade published or self-published, to build up that groundswell and activate your people to be your audience. And if you don't have people, you have to start building those people. And the way you start building those people is do a launch, do a seed launch.
And I'm feeling like, and would you say this is a somewhat similar process if, say, you're a music artist who's looking to launch an album or sell music online, something like that?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to sit here, like one of the things, promises I make and I try to keep is not to talk about stuff I don't know about, to only talk about stuff I know about. So I personally haven't done a launch for an album. I haven't personally looked over someone's shoulder or helped someone with that launch, but I do know people have used PLF, and it's the exact same thing. Your team stuff. You look, John Mayer just did this. He released like a 30-second clip, and then he got some of the guitar channels to actually start to do reactions around those. Some of the YouTube channels, the guitar YouTube channels. So it's you're sharing the experience of creation with your people ahead of time. I mean, you know, Bruce Springsteen just did this. He released a pre-launch video and released one track of his new album that's about to come out. It might have just come out or it's coming out in the next week or two. So it's this, if you let people into your creative process and you start to build up that following and you get people excited ahead of time, that's the essence of the launch. But the multiplier is to find a way to turn the audience, whatever you have, whether it's 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, turn them into part of the launch process. Let them even behind the scenes of the launch process say, hey, I'm really excited about this. I'm hoping to achieve this or that or get it on the Amazon bestseller list or have it pop on Spotify. And you know, if you can help me out, I'd love it. These are the ways you can help me out.
It's crazy hearing you talking about that, and there's people asking, you know, about selling like a physical product, and it's funny because I'm thinking through like, and I know for people who are asking about a physical product, we're going to be sharing a story here real soon about how this was done with a physical product. So stay tuned for that. But it's funny even just seeing those questions and seeing here you talking about, you know, behind the scenes of creation and all this, and like how so many of these things transfer between these markets that seem really different, but a lot of the launch process, it's just figuring out how it works in your market.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen where people have taken this is just ridiculous. When I first came out with this whole thing, and this goes back to that seed launch. Remember I talked about, it's on one of these pages. It was about getting to know your market, getting to know your people, finding your voice, all of that stuff. When I first came out with this, I didn't really know how to talk about it that well. I thought it was only for super, super advanced people. I didn't see people ended up selling painting collections. I didn't envision people selling houses. I didn't envision people teaching about carving wooden dolls. We have this little, you know, our team is all virtual and we run via Slack, and there's all, you know, we message back and forth, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of messages a week. But we have this, one of the things my team likes to share is all the seemingly obscure, crazy niches that people are launching in. Like, we have one of our new case studies is about sword fighting. Guy teaches sword fighting. It's like, okay, I didn't know that was a thing these days. You saw Anne LaFollette yesterday, service battery design. I didn't know what that was. People teaching dressage, right? Dressage, I thought horse ballet, really? And so, and then people started doing book launches and getting New York Times bestsellers and all kinds of artwork. And I just didn't see any of that coming. But basically, if you turn your marketing into an event, if you take your marketing, turn it into an event, build an audience, take people down that PS path, this stuff just works.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always fun. We got a passing around in the team some of the latest ones we have. Like, what was it last year we had one? It was like teaching parrots to read. Was that one last year? Like, it's crazy that the people have thought all the markets are out there.
Yeah, you know, we had some early days. I mean, this is in the early days of PLF, was selling CRM packages to Fortune 500 companies. So customer relationship software to Fortune 500, huge purchases that take months and months and months and have entire committees. You know, if you're going to go to a new CRM package and you've got like a Fortune 500 company, this is a potentially, you know, this could make or break the company moving forward. And they have a committee, they have teams, they have all, and this guy's using PLF. I'm like, how does that work? You're gonna have, here's videos, and there's an add to cart button, add the CRM to cart for like $4 million and a three-year install process, and a one-click offer, you get a bonus Q&A session. How is this possibly gonna work? Well, what he did was he used PLF to get in the door so he can make the sales presentation. Because those, they're a very extensive sales process, and they're gonna pick 2 or 3 or 4 finalists, and he used PLF to become a finalist. He used the sequence, followed the PS path to be able to get the appointment, to get in the door. So that's like an entirely different way of using it that I never thought of, but it's the same sideways sales letter with the same PS path.
Awesome. Okay, maybe one more, and then we'll move along to sharing some stories about how folks are using this. Okay, how about this one? I like this one. So this one's a question for Colleen. Colleen's saying, question, what's the difference between a seed launch and something like crowdfunding, like a Kickstarter or something like that?
They are very, very, very similar. I haven't done Kickstarters. I mean, I think it's not something I've taught. It's not something that I've coached. So I don't know all the subtleties. I mean, both of them, you're getting paid before the product's created. I think Kickstarter is a little more, is generally about a physical product, and a seed launch is generally more about an information product. Kickstarter is on someone else's platform. Seed launch is on your platform. But conceptually, there are a lot of similarities.